lot of policemen and a lot of firemen used fly shackers at the time. You know, they'd get off work in the morning and they'd come down, and they knew Eddie Ukini and Cliff Kamaka and Walt Weird and the lifeguards that were there during the week, you know. So they come down, and there was always, you know, well, it's good to see you, come on in, and, you know, you're always welcomed and everything.
Nobody had too much money, and there wasn't too many things to do, but Fly Shack, we loved swimming, so we were able to get out there, and the gang was always there.
All of us are still friends, they're all still around, we're
Yeah,
still friends.
yeah.
You know, since we were 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, it's amazing.
On a day when the sun was out, there would actually be thousands. I mean, they would come from all over San Francisco, and I mean, it was a mob scene. We'd walk over to where the lawn was, big lawn, and it was real fun because all the girls would accumulate during the day, and they'd be sitting there sunning themselves, and you sort of try to fake it that you're just walking through, you know, but you're eyeballing everything you could.
Interesting tidbit about the Fly Shacker Pool is that it was the place where Johnny Weissmuller got his start. We've also had other celebrity swimmers there. Esther Williams, the Aquacades back in the 1930s took place there. And interesting, back in the 1940s, they actually did military maneuvers there. So the pool had more use than just for a recreational place for the public.
It makes me cry to look out here, you know, and I can see the water and the lifeboats and the lifeguards, and it's gone. It's disappeared. It's like it's black magic.
There was a guy that lived on the beach by the name of Kelly that was a bum. This is the story I heard, and when he died, everybody said, hey, it's Kelly's.
Kelly was a funny scene because Kelly's, right under the cliff house there, was a hangout before the surfing, you know, and it was a hangout for just what they call, well, you call beach bumps, okay?
And then good beach scene here too. It's pretty much Kelly's Cove all the time. Not too many people had the cars, so you kind of just got there and planted yourself all day long.
I really liked growing up next to Kelly's Cove, really close. Putting your wetsuit on at home and walking 4 or 5 blocks down the street, hanging out at the surf.
And that's why we could get a couple dozen crab out there. So we used to have feed crab and get mussels off of the rocks off of Kelly's Cove, you know, below the cliff house.
At Kelly's, I'd have the fire for everybody, and that was part of the ritual. That was part of Kelly's, was a fire. You know.
Growing up in Ocean Beach, surfing Ocean Beach was quite an education in all ways. In the 70s, just the group of guys that were out there were kind of a group of characters, and there was a lot of drugs and drinking, and as getting thrown into that mix as a 12-year-old was quite an eye-opener.
When you even walk down to, I mean, the guys who surf slope, they were like another world away. You know, they were another breed almost. You know, it was the guys at Kelly's Cove from the pier over here. We hardly left it. We hardly went anywhere else.
We pretty much would come and hang out on the wall and check the waves. That was pretty much, you know, going to Sloat Street, coming back to Kelly's, and everywhere in between. It was more about sitting on the wall and watching the waves and, you know, deciding if we were going to surf or not.
You know, the surf scene was amazing at Kelly's. You had guys playing bongo drums, you know, any hot day. The kids from high schools would migrate down, and the surfers would come down. They'd carry their boards to the beach. A lot of guys would change right there at the wall in the sun. They'd leave their clothes in a pack on the wall, go surfing, and then come back and, you know, strip their wetsuits halfway down and just, you know, try and thaw in the sunshine. In the meantime, the bongos are playing. There's usually a fire at the beach. It was neat.
Just really nice beautiful waves here, and right down the street from, you know, where you lived, and they were steep and hollow and really gnarly. I mean, when we used to call it rapture of the deep if you got wiped out here. And we also used to say that if you could surf Kelly's, you could surf anywhere. And that's true. I mean, a lot of these guys went from here to Hawaii.
There were people who were surfers, not many, and you knew everybody who surfed. And in those days, it was essential to have a bonfire on the beach because you couldn't handle the cold without it. And the fire was kind of like the hub of the social scene at the beach, because everybody would get out of the water and come stand by the fire and warm up. And that's where you got to know one another, you know.
There was guys from Frisco driving down here, Jose Angel, who later went to Hawaii.
Mom and Dad gave him a graduation gift from Washington High School for 2 months in Hawaii. And Bill Wilson came with him.
First 2 summers Billy went over, he traveled over with Jose. Jose was raised in the city, was Filipino-American descent, I think. Jose came back and went to school at San Francisco State, got his teaching degree, and moved right back to the islands. And he moved straight back up to the North Shore, is where Jose raised his family.
It was his dream because he was already surfing at O'Neill's. He was body surfing, he loved the water, and of course Hawaii is the place to go. And so they came over and stayed 2 whole months. And they told me that their monthly rental was something like $80 a month, right there in Waikiki, right near where the Duke's thing is, right there at Queen Surf. Sam Hiona was in San Francisco guarding with Jose during high school days or college days. And then when we moved over here, Sam Hiona goes in the Army, and lo and behold, they station him over here as a boxer. Well, he talked so much about Cliff Kamaka and Eddie Ukini. He was so impressed with those guys. He just loved them, and so he took me over, and